Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the introduction to NeuroSketching. And I just said NeuroSketching is going to be opening our eyes to a whole new world of how we can use the Neurographica method. Everyone who already did some advanced courses, or at least the basics course, you learn the basics of Neurographica. Here we work in a very different way, which I find really interesting because now we work with the actual world around us. Usually Neurographica is abstract drawing. We use circles and triangles and squares and lines and colors, and it's all very, very abstract. In NeuroSketching, suddenly, we actually draw other things, which might be very surprising for some people that learned Neurographica before, because it's basically breaking all the rules that we learned, which, as I said, I find very interesting. And it's, again, a sign of Pavel's kind of weird, crazy mind that made all of this stuff up. In NeuroSketching, we use the elements of Neurographica, especially the line, to explore the world and to find symbolism in the world. And this is also something that usually when we see symbolism in our drawings, all the teachers tell us, especially in the first algorithm, we do not draw the symbolism. No, if I see a whale or a flower or a heart, maybe a heart is okay sometimes. But if I see something in my drawing, like I have suddenly a mermaid show up, I'm not drawing the mermaid. I stick with my abstract figures. But now, when we work with the world around us is made up of actual things. So when I look outside my window, for example, I see, well, I see mountains and trees and a and the porch and the veggie garden, but maybe some people might see buildings and things like that. And so we have like concrete things that are not only abstract, people as well, for example. So we can now magically bring all of those into our drawing as well. The way I want to do this today is one of the practices that we do in NeuroSketching. So NeuroSketching is a very diverse course, and we learn a lot of different ways to work with the world around us. We also work with photographs, with images, we can work with maps, we work with like all kinds of things. And we especially broaden our view of how we can use the neurographic line. All of this is going to be in the course today. I decided to do a simple exercise where we actually work with a scenery. So what we can do is literally go out into the world, sit down somewhere, find a beautiful scenery, and then sketch it with Neurographica. So it's a different way of sketching a little bit. We do not actually intend to completely copy what we see. No, usually when like an art student, for example, goes out in the street and starts sketching a building, the picture that he comes up with, hopefully, like that basically describes the skill he has, looks like the building he sees. Well, in Neurographica, we work with that a little bit different. So we're not trying to copy what we see. We will take out the most important elements and bring them into our drawing. We don't do that just for the heck of it, just for the fun of it, just to make a drawing that has something other than circles and squares in it, but we actually do that to bring our theme forward. We're still working with Neurographica, we're still working with our themes. So to begin with, I would like to invite everyone to just settle in with me for a moment. You all know I like to do that. We do that a little bit quick today. Just make yourself comfortable, place your feet on the ground. It's nice if your spine is upright, and let's take a few deep breaths just to let go of the day, just to arrive here and now. And you can release a sigh if there's anything that needs to be let go of. Okay. And now I invite you to first check in with yourself. Check in with how your body feels right now, without changing it, without like trying to make it better or worse. Just checking in. Is there any tension anywhere? Which parts of your body do you feel? Which parts maybe you don't feel so much? Just breathing in your body for a moment. And then I invite you to check in with your emotions and ask, how do I feel? Like what do my emotions say? Am I happy, sad, excited, maybe already confused, maybe curious? Just breathing in there for a moment and being with it. And then I invite you to check in with your mind. And where is your mind right now? Are you here and now? Are you ready to draw? Or maybe you are still with something that happened today. Or maybe you are already in the future, somewhere, something that's happening later today. And just accepting where you are right now. It's absolutely fine. And if you can, I invite you to come and think about something that you would like to enlighten in your life, or you would like to shine some light. Maybe there's some questions that you asked yourself. Maybe there's something that you've been carrying around with yourself for a while, where you want to find a solution. Maybe you just want to allow a light to shine on yourself, shining a light on something, finding your theme. It doesn't have to be very elaborate. It can be very simple. Whatever comes up for you right now. And then I invite you to take a few more deep breaths. Maybe wiggle your feet or your hand, wiggle your finger a little bit. Start moving. You can, if you have to, rub your face. For me, it's still morning. I'm still waking up. Okay, so I'm going to switch my camera and we will start with the image that I chose for today, because today I literally chose an image that we're going to work with. I found this in a calendar and I thought this is a nice one to start with. It's a very simple image. We have a light tower and a house in the background and some trees and some clouds. And we're going to work with this image. So I invite you to just imagine for a moment sitting maybe at the seaside somewhere. This is actually in Biloxi in Mississippi. I've been there a few times too. And you can just imagine sitting by the seaside, maybe hearing the waves, maybe hearing some seagulls. The weather is beautiful, it's sunset. The tower is just about to start its light. And just feel into the scenery. I think this is actually even sunrise. Well, okay, so we will work with this image. How are we going to work with the image? As I said, in NeuroSketching, we're not trying to copy the image that we see, but we take it as an inspiration. So first of all, I would like for you to look at this image and see what's the most important elements here. There's not too many elements here. What is the most important one? The one that really sticks out immediately, of course, is this light tower. This is why I chose it. Then we have a house here. We have some trees. There's more houses there. There's a road here. And there's a road there. So we can now decide which ones of these elements we actually want to bring in our drawing. So I'm going to start my drawing. I'm going to try to have the image there at the same time, more or less, maybe, if I can manage that somehow. Okay, more or less. And I'm going to start with actually a thinner pen than usual. And first of all, I'm going to set a frame. This is something that we do a lot in Neurographica, and with the sketching, it's really a nice thing to do. I'm going to say, okay, this is the frame for my image, but also my process. Here is where this story is going to unfold. And then I'm going to see, okay, what's the most important part in this image for me? And it is the light tower. So the light tower is more or less almost in the middle. I don't have to be exact. I can, if I want to, even put it in the middle if I wanted to. So I can immediately switch stuff around. This is just as an inspiration. I'm going to say, okay, I have here this light tower. Goes up there, and then there's like a round thing here. And then there's this tower. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to look at all, actually, like the image I see. As I said, it's just an inspiration. So I just take some of the elements. Now I can also wonder if I want to take another element from it. And I'm intrigued by this house here. You can, though, decide not to use the house at all. So you are free to use the house or not. But I'm going to use this house as well. So I have the house here in the corner. It's a pretty big house as well. Let's say, okay, it's maybe from here to here. And I can also decide if I want to make it bigger or smaller, for example. I can change it. And it has like this awning. And then it goes like this. Just more or less. And it has these really nice balconies, which I think is really, really cool. This is why I like this house. It has columns here. A big mansion, actually. And this might be all I need from this house. So I'm not trying to copy all the details here. I'm just saying, okay, this is like the house. I also want to have this in my image. And now I might actually be done with this image. So I'm going to put it up. You can look at it one more time to see if you want to take anything else from it. Like if you want to maybe use the road or something. But I'm actually going to decide to create my own drawing from this. So I have a general composition that I took from the world around me, or an image in this case. But I could also, of course, do this if I sit somewhere and actually have a scenery. And then I want to integrate this into an environment, because now I just have these two elements here. So I'm going to say, I'm actually going to draw some neural lines to make sure that these elements are not just sitting in the air. And then I actually want to somehow have a pathway back here. So I'm starting to use neurographic lines, and maybe I should explain for everyone who is not familiar with Neurographica. Neurographic lines are lines that are not ever the same in their parts, so it doesn't have a pattern. It's a line that is like a wave of the ocean or a root growing or a tree. It's what we call bionic line. It's a line that mimics nature. And I'm going around my objects with this line as well. So I'm going around my light tower with this line. And exploring is really, for me, it's a line of exploration, exploring this element with the line. And another thing that we do with the line is we want to create smoothness and roundness. So whenever I go into my building, for example, it will look like there is plants growing all over it because it's all going to be smooth and round. So whenever I meet a corner, I just go around it. And you can round out the corners like we do in normal Neurographica drawings, but since I work with such a thin pen here, I'm just going to very smoothly go over all the lines that I already have. So my columns here, they're going to turn into columns that look like they have lianas or something around them. And every now and then I draw a line out of my frame. And if you're new to Neurographica, I invite you to just follow along, allowing soft lines around the elements that are in your drawing so far. Now, because we're working with Neurographica, we give meaning to all the different elements. And now, of course, I can ask myself, with my theme that I work with, so I'm working with a theme that's connected to my courses. So I can ask myself, what does this house stand for? And what does the light tower stand for? So this house for me is my grounding, my classes, my experience as a teacher. It's what takes me, like what I build on. I build on all of these. So here, all my skills are in here. So you can ask yourself, if you took the house, what is in this house for you? Which part of the house is, what's the house stand for you? And I'm also connecting my house to the light tower. It just came like that. You can connect your house to something different. And here is maybe one example for everyone who's new to Neurographica, where I have two lines that are meeting and I make a connection point between them. I round out the corners. I smooth out everything. And so I feel now that my house is connected to this tower somehow. So what does the tower stand for me? And here we can really, other than usual Neurographica, work with this metaphor. Now we can see, okay, we have this light tower. What might the light tower stand for? What could it be in my theme? And for me, it's how I teach, how I actually transfer all this knowledge that I have into the message that I want to convey, how it lands for the people. And I, of course, want my students to take a lot from my classes. So I want to really shine it out. And now what I'm going to do is shine out the light. Up here, usually in the light tower, you have light. So I'm going to shine it out. So whenever you figured out what the light tower might stand for you, I invite you to start shining out your light with neurographic lines, of course, that can go in all directions. In all directions. So we very simply turned this imagery of the light tower into an image, a symbolic image, a symbol. And again, wherever my lines meet, I make little connections, I smooth it out, I round a little bit. I create connection and I shine the light out. In all directions. And while I do that, I invite you to check yourself. Check in with your body, your emotions, your mind, and see, where does this take you? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about standing there big as a light tower and shining your light out? What does it feel like? What comes up for you? What comes up for you connected to your theme? Something where you want to change your light and share your light, shine your light, shine a light on it. So I'm in all directions. I want to even go down here. So asking yourself what it feels like. And I kind of feel that I want a circle in here. I'm going to draw a circle in here because a circle is a more harmonious light, a more harmonious figure. So I'm focusing my light to be helpful and harmonious. So you can change elements if you want to. You could also change elements in your little house if you wanted to, if you took the house. And again, shining the light out, using this imagery. We're literally using the imagery that we find, working with what we find in the world and bringing it into our process. Now this lighthouse is really a part of my internal process. It is the part where I ask myself, okay, how can I shine? And whatever theme you took, you can, of course, ask yourself, how can the light tower help you with this theme? Where does the light need to shine? Or how can it help you? How can it shine? How can it bring light into the darkness? And as you see, all my lines are connected. Now, what we can also do is add other elements. Now I'm still just working with what I saw in the picture. Maybe you have other elements already. Maybe you did work with the trees that are over there. I did not, but I'm gonna decide to add more elements. And I like to work with circles. Everyone who was in my other classes, you are of course allowed to also use other elements. So all my advanced students, you get permission to use triangles and squares. Everyone who's completely new to Neurographica, I recommend to use circles. So why do we use other elements? We can use other elements to bring more parts to the story. So I can ask myself, who else is in my story? Or what else is in my story? What elements are in my story? Maybe you found something that needs to be lit up, something where you need this light, and then bring this element somewhere into this drawing in the form of a circle. I'm going to say I want to light up my students. I really want to light them up so that they just love Neurographica just as I do. And I find a place where I put them. So I'm going to just add a circle here and say these are my students. These are the people that learn from me. And I learn from them, of course. Me, this is always like a two-way street. So everyone who is taking classes with me, I bring them into my drawing and I integrate them again by smoothing out the lines wherever the lines meet and make them round. And I really spend some time with that. With every element that I bring into the drawing, I want to spend some time and feel into it and feel how it feels in my body to bring this in there. I have kind of like a feeling in my stomach. And now I can ask myself, what more? Or what other elements? Maybe there are some people that have never heard of Neurographica, and I kind of want to touch them as well. Maybe there's someone who's just watching their very first workshop here and they're all confused, but I want to touch them as well somehow with this idea, this light that I shine out. So I'm going to draw another circle for them. And you can, of course, ask yourself, considering your own theme, what else is there? What other elements? And again, spending a moment with it, drawing a few more lines. Maybe I'm actually going to split up the light. They need a little bit more light. They need some more attention. Oh, interesting thought. Maybe the people that don't know Neurographica yet, how can I reach them? So I actually have a question come up for me now that I asked myself this. And I don't know the answer yet, but I'm going to just draw the answer here and say, okay, there are ways for me to touch these people that have never heard of Neurographica, but that I know exist. I know it can help them. So if you have a question for your theme, even if you don't know the answer yet, just draw yourself an answer. Draw yourself an element and say, okay, this is how it works. It's going to work and it's going to look like this. And you can just add an element And as I said, for beginners, it's always great to use circles because circles are just very beautiful, harmonious, perfect solutions. And now I allow my mind, I give my mind permission to just come up with this, even though I don't know yet what it is. I can say, okay, I want to have the ability to reach all those people that have never heard of Neurographica, but that I know exist and that I know they will love this method. So while you're drawing, you can just think of your themes. Think what might help you. What elements do you need? Maybe you need people in your life that support you. Maybe you need money. You can also draw that into your drawing, of course. Just say, okay, here, there it is. And then I want to add another element that is things that I learn. And I have this between this light tower and my house. So every time I teach something, every time I use the knowledge I have, I also learn something new. I light myself up. It works on me as well. Feel like I'm learning something right now. And maybe I want to add one more. That I don't have to know what it is. I'm just going to add another circle and just say, okay, this is my bonus. Small one here. Just because the spot looks like it needs a circle there. So I don't actually have to know what every single part of my drawing stands for, even though I have the permission to give meaning to every part. I have the permission to use symbolism here. Nice. Now, whenever you feel like you have a composition there that looks interesting to you, that maybe already told you something, maybe not. You don't have to push it. As I said, I'm usually just asking myself questions and then my brain automatically does the work and the answer comes. But I also am trained in this. I did that many, many times. So now I would like to bring some color into this. As I said, I love colored pencils. So I'm just going to work with my colored pencils. And the way I usually work in Neurographica drawings is absolutely intuitive. I just pick a color. I just realized my pen is broken, but I want this color now. I'm just going to pick a color and feel into the drawing, ask myself, where does it go? Where does it want to go? This is like a nice blue, kind of have this association with a sea, for example. The way we color this now doesn't have to be as a scenery, though. We can just understand, look at this entire image as a plain field of lines, and I'm just gonna start coloring wherever I feel the color wants to go. Very intuitive. And I just allow the color to move through the drawing. In NeuroSketching, we are allowed to use a little bit more figurative coloring as well, but we don't have to. I kind of prefer to just use the color as I usually use it, very intuitive. But I could, of course, also give the light tower a certain color if I wanted to. But I kind of feel that there's a wave here climbing up on my tower. So I'm just gonna use that imagery and work with that. And just play with it. And maybe the color wants to go all around. Can even go up there. Allow yourself to be free with the color. Allow yourself to color just like a child, where horses can be blue or trees can be pink. If you have some trees in yours. I just really like this feeling of the wave right now. And I'm gonna allow myself to be guided just by my feeling of where it wants to go. And of course, by the lines in my drawing. And go all the way into the roof of the house. And of course, I can also ask myself how my mind would interpret this color. With the blue, it's pretty obvious in a way, but there's many different ways. I can also say, okay, blue, maybe it reminds me of the throat chakra, and it's all about expressing myself, all about saying the things I want to say without questioning or without cutting myself off, allowing myself to speak. That feels really good now. Is there significance to circles that aren't as round, more like ovals? That is the significance that you give them. Whenever there shows up something in the drawing and you ask yourself, why is it like that? My answer always, and my students know that, is what does it mean to you? How does your mind interpret that? How would you interpret that? I can, of course, give you my idea that would first come up to me if I look at an oval. I maybe see eggs, for example, something that wants to grow, something fertile, something that wants to come into your life. But that is just my spontaneous interpretation that absolutely doesn't have to be the one that you take on. So it can stand for whatever you feel it stands for. I hope that helps. Great question. And as I always say, circles never have to be perfect. Circles are, the reason why we use them is because they are harmonious, they don't have edges, they are round, and they're very easy to digest in a way. Like our mind can very easily accept them as elements. but how you interpret them, what meaning you give them, and especially if they turn out different than you thought, bigger, smaller, more oval, that is your interpretation. And I really wish you to have fun with that. So you don't have to take it super serious. You're very welcome. Okay, now I feel like I have enough blue in my drawing and it's like created these interesting effects here. So I'm going to use another color and just continue drawing. And as I said, you can, of course, use elements and their shapes and literally color them like in a coloring book, like I'm doing with this little house here right now. It's going to be a pink house. For some reason, I feel drawn to pink right now because it makes me happy. So if you don't know what color to take, use the color that where you feel like this would make me feel really good right now. This would make me feel like laugh at myself, make me happy. And this is why I'm using this pink right now. And then I can, of course, ask myself, is this pink anywhere else? And for some reason, I feel drawn to this one here. Think like maybe this one's also pink. So maybe this house and the circle that I called my solution, where I'm not 100% sure what it is, but there's something there. They have something in common. Or maybe they're connected somehow. So we can make connections through color. And then I like to explore and see where does the color want to take me. It's going up there. One thing to say, very important, before we color everything, we don't have to color everything. In Neurographica, it's actually a good thing to have some areas that are white. They can open us up to further developments that we're not aware of yet. They give us space. And also we can, of course, see white as a color itself. Maybe even it's going to go up here too. So I really allow my intuition to just guide me through this drawing now. And of course, I see the elements as figures. No, I see that there's this tower here. Now it almost looks like a person to me. Like I have this weird feeling that this tower is a person. So elements can really change as well. My interpretation can change. My view of things can change. And this is really one of the main reasons that we actually do Neurographica is to allow our view to change, our perspective to change. And now I really want to bring some bright yellow here for this lighthouse. Something where I really feel it shines. You can, of course, yours can shine dark purple if it wants to. You can really, really work with whatever you feel like. One wonderful thing about colored pencils is that we can also layer the colors. So here I'm going over the blue with my yellow and it creates this little green shimmer. Really like that. And every now and then, just remembering to breathe, remembering to check in with yourself. Feel all the feelings that are there. Listen to your body. See how do the colors make you feel. And you can, of course, use as many colors as you wish. I usually work with just a few colors because I know it feels better to me. I don't like when there's too many different things. But you can use more, of course, and you can really trust your own process. Mm. And also, of course, should have said that as well, you don't have to fully color the different segments. So here I feel there's just a little bit yellow maybe. Maybe I want to go over this with some more red. Just playing with it. Let's get this maybe another 3-4 minutes. Just playing with the color. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so now what we want to do is draw a line that brings the light to us. And I'm going to actually draw it through my light tower. You can draw this line throughout wherever you want to. And I will take a pen that's a little bit thicker. You don't have to do that. This is an option. So we want to choose a line. You can choose one that's already in the drawing. That goes from one edge to another. I'm going to go from the top down. And I'm actually going to draw it towards me. So I'm going to draw this light of my light tower towards me. And while I do that, I really feel into and allow this light to come to me. And I'm going to go over this line several times, bringing the light of this light tower towards me. If you feel like it needs to go somewhere else, you can also bring it somewhere else. No, it can also go to the house, for example, or something like that. Wherever you feel called to go. I'm going to go over it one more time. And every time it grows a little bit bigger, just following how the line goes down. And then look at your picture and ask yourself, which one is the element that speaks to me the most? Which one of maybe the circles, maybe the house, maybe the light tower, maybe there's other elements that you chose to bring into your drawing? Which one is the one that really speaks to me? And for me, it's my light, because I just work with the color so strongly in it that it just sticks out the most. So I usually choose this by visual means. I look at what looks at me. What is the element that really looks at me? And so I go around this element also with a thicker line. If you don't have a thicker pen, you can just use a normal pen and go around it several times. Just going around it. And then I can, of course, ask myself, what does all of that mean to me right now? How do I interpret it? Neurographica, really what we do is we create a story and then we allow our minds to interpret it. So when I look at this, I feel that all I need to do is really trust this light that I have in there. No matter how small it is, it will have the energy to shine out. It does have the energy to shine out and reach all the people that I want to reach in the way that works for them, for me, or whatever the intention is. So when you find your important element, ask yourself, what does it stand for now? What is the story? How does this all fit together into a story, maybe? What is the story of your light tower? Okay. So this is one way to use Neurographica as a sketching method. And as you see, of course, you change this picture a lot. So it is not the same, obviously. But that is the whole idea of it. We use the world around us to inspire our inner process. So I hope that this inspired some inner process for you as well. And in a minute, I'm going to open the microphone for questions and so that we can share a little bit. with everyone who is here live. For everyone who's watching the recording, thank you so much for watching. I would love to see your picture, please. I have a Facebook group where you can post it. I'm going to post a link under this drawing process. And of course, for everyone who is very, very interested now in learning more NeuroSketching, there is a NeuroSketching course starting next Friday. That later will also be available as a self-study course with recordings. What we will do in this course is a lot of drawing. We will learn to draw very quickly. So this was still a very slow process, even though for some people it might have been fast. But you will gain skill in really draw quickly. And we will work with a lot of different compositions. We will work with landscapes, with people as well, no figures. We will use different pieces of art as inspiration for our drawing. We will also work with photographs in a very different way than this. We will work with maps and a lot of different ways to get in touch with the world around us through Neurographica and use the things that we see on the outside to inspire inner processes. That's all I have to say about that right now. So I hope to hear from everyone. And as I said, I would love to see your drawings. And see you next time for our next drawing session. I never introduced myself in the beginning, so it's kind of like weird to do this at the end. But my name is Antje Howard, and I'm a Neurographica teacher. And if you want to learn more about me and my work, I have a website that's neuroartproject.net. So I hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye.